Let's talk about pronouns. Now, these are probably the most often used part of speech that we have, and they are simply words that stand in for other nouns in a sentence. There are 6 types of pronouns, and I have yet to be in a classroom where a teacher has made me memorize each of these 6 types, but I want to explain them to you so that you're aware of what they are, because then you're going to be much more likely to be able to pick out any pronoun when it comes to sentences. So let's talk about it. The first and most common type of pronouns are the personal pronouns. So they describe a person or a thing that's being spoken about. Things like I, me, mine, us, him. Those we use all the time. Then we've got reflexive pronouns, and those are pronouns that refer back to the subject. I like to think of them as being used for emphasis. So things like himself, yourself, herself. Those things that refer back to something we've already talked about. We've got demonstrative pronouns then, and they point out specific things or people. This, that, those, all right? With these, you've got to be careful though. Sometimes they're easily confused with adjectives. So make sure when you're picking out pronouns that these are actually standing in for a noun, not just describing a particular noun. Next up are interrogative pronouns. These are pretty easy to remember. They introduce questions. So who, what, which, whose. Often their antecedent, or the word that they're standing in for, is actually the answer to the question that's being asked. Relative pronouns, these are hard to catch sometimes because they slip by us, but they connect a noun to a description. That, who, which. So the teacher that gave me homework, or the teacher that, it should be the teacher who gave me homework. So those connect to that description. And then finally, these are some of the more difficult ones to work with, the indefinite pronouns. They refer to nouns that are not specifically named. All, each, several, everyone, everybody, so those non-specified nouns. So now that we've kind of gone over these, let's take a look at some tips for helping you identify pronouns. Here's my biggest tip. If you can't find the antecedent, and the antecedent to the pronoun is the noun that it's actually standing in for, then it's probably not a pronoun. So anytime you stop to identify something as a pronoun, you should be able to say what that pronoun actually is. What is its antecedent? What's it standing there for? So let's take a look at this paragraph and see if we can start identifying the pronouns that are being used. So we have, I need to go shopping tomorrow. Well, I is our first personal pronoun here. And if I asked you what the antecedent would be the speaker. If it was me saying this, Katie would be the antecedent to I. So I need to go shopping tomorrow, so I, and we've got the repetition of that personal pronoun, can get my sister, who is 24, a present. All right, so we've got who, and that's one of those relative pronouns, and it's linking my sister to a description of her, telling us how old she is. Some of you may want to mark my as a pronoun, but you've got to look at how it's being used in the sentence here. Here it's telling whose sister or which sister, which means it's answering one of those adjective questions, and it's actually being used to modify sister, so this is not a pronoun here. All right? She had a birthday party the other day, so she is referring to my sister, and it would sound a little bit awkward if every time I wanted to say she, I had to say my sister. So this is another pronoun. She had a birthday party the other day, and I, again, forgot something. And something is one of those sticky indefinite pronouns. You don't know what it is that I forgot, but I forgot something, and that's standing in for that particular thing. All right? Here you get its antecedent, which actually comes after the gift. She, again my sister, and we wouldn't want to have to say that again, is very picky. She doesn't like this, and she doesn't like that. Those are those demonstrative pronouns that are pointing to something specific. Even though we don't know what it is, this and that are standing in for particular nouns there. I think, even she, again, standing in for my sister. And here's one of those not often used reflexive pronouns. So she, herself, it's just giving emphasis, repeating that idea. Doesn't know what she wants. Wish me luck. So there's me again in reference. So you can see we use them quite frequently, but imagine if we had to plug in the noun that each one stands for, how awkward that would sound. So clearly you've got some easy ways to identify the 6 different types of pronouns. Again, don't worry too much about the type, but make sure you're able to identify all of them.